I'm Tim Roble, and welcome to another episode of Adventure Athlete. Today I'm filming from King of the Hammers out in Johnson Valley. So out here we have Hammertown. We have the 4400 qualifying going on today. It's Monday. But I did think I would take a little bit of time and give you my thoughts and some of the modifications that I've done to my new Can-Am Maverick X3 XRC. So here we have the vehicle. I pre-ran this yesterday and just kind of found a nice little spot to park in the rocks. I did run up the wash. It starts getting a little gnarlier as we get up through the trail, and the thing is working amazing. Give you a little background. About 2 months ago, I talked my dad into coming with me to go do the demo for the Can-Am demo out in Havasu. And man, don't go do the demo unless you have some credit available or money in the bank to buy one of these things, because they are amazing. In my opinion, I really feel like this is the cheapest, most economical way to get into something that I'll call a real rock crawler and a real race car. I just watched the UTVs yesterday race and the qualifying the day before. Other than probably the cage and some harnesses, maybe seats, this car is pretty close to being a race car. I'm happy with the seats. I don't really plan on racing it, but once you're a racer, you're always a racer. So if this thing ever did get raced, I would do a King of the Hammers event with it. That may be coming next year, maybe not, don't know. You notice my cage on this is black, and I did that not just so much to get rid of the blue as because I welded on the cage, and that octane blue is hard to match. Not in a powder coat, but in a paint. At least that I can do in a can. So I'm not to the point yet where I'm done with the vehicle, but you can see I welded on some tabs for my, I have those set up kind of as rock lights to spot like on a turn. I did weld the tabs directly to the cage for the roof lights. Guy Chad Young on X3 Nation and Do It Yourself Can-Am, he makes these mud flaps, and so far so good. I haven't kicked anything up into it. You can tell that I've changed some of the back half of this cage, and I did that because I really didn't feel like there was a lot of support. Can-Am comes off this top tube with a kind of a plastic insert, and then like a little truss that comes down and ties it into the tray and all of that. So what I did was I got rid of the stock exhaust and I made my own cage, and I do have it set up so the cage will work with a 35. It's tight, but it'll work with a 35. I did go up on tire size from the 30-inch Liberties. I thought that was a good tire to start with, and now I'm running the 32s. Doing rally in the rocks, I'm really considering possibly going up to a 35 just for a little bit more clearance. I was lucky enough to have Fox set the car up. I got a free coupon for Fox to do their ride heights tune. Night and day difference in the car with that. So back to what I've done. So I rolled this on a 3-roller for the spare tire mount. It's just kind of done in a single plane. I think it looks real sharp. I do have CT Racing's rear arms and their front arms that are on back order. I did move the reservoirs down from their higher position down onto the tube that I welded in, and then for the plastics, I just these are actually stainless, but painted them anyway to hold these defenders up. So far everything's holding up really good. I have the factory LSR Longstar Racing fire extinguisher. I am set up to be street legal in Arizona. I did weld a whip mount on and mounts for rear backup lights. So yeah, I did do a little bit of wiring in the car. For exhaust, I built my own. I ordered about $102 worth of parts off of eBay, and got these, they're 12 inches in length. My original thought I was just going to do a pass-through and then go down to the stock exhaust, but the stock exhaust really is a limiting factor, and anyone that puts an exhaust back in this area, it's kind of a limiting factor to put things where it needs to be. Like one of the things that I really like to work on is when I design something or playing around with prototyping is I like to bring the weight down as low as possible. Still have a nice look. You can see my tire is not slammed down on the bulkhead, but you can also see that I have a jack that's mounted in there with 2 bolts there on tabs that are welded to the chassis, and then on the back side there is a quick pin. So getting rid of that stock exhaust allows you to put the tire down in an area where it should go, in my opinion. And then I have these dual resonators. Like I said, that's just welded to the stock exhaust. I cut off the cat, welded the first one in, and then come over here and welded the second one in with a S-bend. So far that's worked out really, really well. One of the battles, let me spin this around this way. One of the battles I was really having with this car is how to carry a jack and the tools that I want to work on the car. For me, I need to be self-sufficient out in the desert. So I carry an extra belt. I carry a full set of tools. Anytime that I do work on the car, I take the bags out of the car and use those bags to work on the car. That's the best way to know all the tools you're going to need. And then if you go down the road and you just keep seeing time and time and time again you're not using something, set that aside. Maybe still put it in the car, but put it in a different little kit and see, maybe 6 months down the road, take it out of the car. I'm always trying to lose weight in the car. I think that's the best way to do it, is not carry anything you don't need, but if you do need something, it's nice to have it. So you can see I bought some of these mirrors off of eBay. They're Chinese knockoff of a mirror, but they're really nice. They are set up for a 2-inch cage, and I basically took a 2-inch tube and machined it on the lathe, and got the right inner diameter. I believe this is 188 or 182 tubing that Can-Am uses, so kind of an odd size. But I made it so it would go on no problems. And these mirrors were cheap. They're like 50, I think 58 bucks or something. One of the changes that I had talked about and had really thought about was the rear view mirror for myself. I don't know if they just put that there for a reason or not, but I'm going to move the mirror more into this area because it just allows you to do a quicker look and see. I have the S&B particle separator, and you can see that I have that thing slammed down as low as I can get it because I did want some visibility out of the back. I did add this bar here, and to be totally honest, that'll be how the next cage will go, and then it'll have some runners that come and kick here to the B pillar and tie the B and C in really nice. But I basically ran that just because it was a cleaner way to run the wiring. It adds a little bit of crush zone safety, but not much. The node terminates. You can see I have the BRP door bags. On that bag I have everything set up for carrying belts. There is one spare belt in there, and then all of the tools that I need to change the belt are in there. I have tools stored in bags underneath the seat. Other than that, what we have, I did do some modifications on this particle separator cover just to run the hose down lower. So you can kind of look in here and see that all of this has been cut out to keep this hose low and get the right height. Belt temperature gauge. I don't recall the brand, but I'll show you. There's only a couple on the market. So far that thing has been working really, really good. I have not exceeded belt temps over I think 130. Still breaking the car in. And a funny thing with that is for about the first day I'm driving it around, which I thought was the performance key, and I was just taking it easy with it. And as the day got on, I got a little faster out in the desert and seeing what it can do. And realistically, this thing will run through 2 to 3 foot whoops at 50 miles an hour, no problem. And I felt I could go faster, but the car wouldn't physically do it. So I did some rock crawling. And I stopped and checked out a couple different things, and what I found out is I had the standard key in, not the performance key. So I went back, and the last thing that night I put the performance key in and kind of took it out for a drive to see what it does. And being totally honest, in the rocks I feel like the performance key is too much. So I do hit the rocker switch inside, and I take that down to a eco mode, just to kind of gives you a better feed in of the throttle pedal, and it's not so jerky. There's so much horsepower in this car. I'm probably somewhere around, it's 172 stock, but I'm blowing through, I'm thinking maybe 177-ish, and I did order a tuner for it. Get the right tunes, because I know I'll be lean up top and the car won't compensate for that, so that's coming. But for now, I have to say that I could not be more impressed. It's very, very rare you'll ever see me give something a 10 out of a 10, but I am giving this car a 10 out of a 10. Is there things that you need to do to the car to kind of make it live? Yes. Up front, the arms did come with a cover on them, but I ordered the CT Racing arms, and I did that because they have just a lot more ground clearance. And I haven't dinked them up very much, but I've been very careful with picking my correct lines. And then I did order, and I just received that before I left, a bulkhead kit. This one's made out of 4130 chromoly. I don't, off the top of my head, remember what the brand is. But if you notice, like, a lot of the stuff in here is all single shear. You know, we kind of got like a double shear going on here with this bumper winch mount thing. But a lot of stuff on this car is single shear. This lower down here is single. So I want to truss that up. I'll probably take some of the powder coat off and stitch it in also, as well as bolt it. I like welded items more so than bolt-ons. I think a bolt-on is unless it's a suspension part, I feel like it's a compromise. On the cage, I was going to make this cage available to the public, a spare tire rack and everything, and there was just no right way, in my opinion, to do it as a bolt-on. So yeah, everything I welded on the chassis, and no problems. You know, that's how an off-road car really should be built, is stuff welded on, not bolted on. So some of the upcoming things that I have for it coming, I'll probably do my own cage. I don't know if I'll wait till I roll it or whatever, but I'll be working on a 1 3/4 DOM, 120 wall from A to B pillars, and then the rest, everything else will be a 095. That'll be fine. And then I'll lace it up with some 1.5 structural on the corners and X braces. I will use the factory roof. I think the factory roof is trick as could be, and I can't really figure out why people are not reusing that roof. To me, it's a great looking roof. I have a 3-roller, so I can bend the arc on the tubing to make it match. And basically, I'm just going to duplicate the factory cage, just out of thicker and safer material. And that being said, I probably will do a dual shear A-pillar, meaning that it'll have a window post that'll come down and tie into the lower structure of the car. So, long-winded once again, but I'm super stoked on this car. Once again, a 10 out of a 10. Why would you buy this over a Jeep, where a Jeep is street legal? I've had a couple Jeeps. I've had a lot of off-road cars, motorcycles and everything, and this is the closest thing you're going to get for $30K for a race car. There's no way that you could have even $100K in a Jeep and still do the things you do in this car, and still have it light enough where you tip it over, a couple guys can pick it back up on its wheels. So I think it's a great value, and that's why there's so many different selections out there, is because, just plain and simple, not one thing is meant for everyone. But for this was a great purchase for me. If I had to build a car like this, it'd probably be somewhere around 70 grand in labor just to do the build plus parts. So that's putting you at about a $100,000 car. So I feel there's a lot of technology in this car, and I give it 2 thumbs up in the 10. That's going to be it for now. If you like this type of thing, please like and subscribe. You can follow Tim Roble on Facebook and Instagram if you like also. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching my videos and putting up with my rants. I'm Tim Roble, and I'll catch you here next time.